الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. نوينا التعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم، ودعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى، مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشرب صافي الهاني يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد الله رب العالمين. آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله. Um, we are beginning our book إن شاء الله. Book عجلة السباق إلى مكارم الأخلاق, which is translated to be the quest for virtuous character. And so عجلة السباق, right, in the sense of rushing, right, rushing and competing to get the most noble of character, and written by the great scholar of our zaman, mashallah. He is our era, Habib Muhammad bin Abdullah al-Haddar. And just like an interesting note, Habib Muhammad bin Abdullah al-Haddar, you will see that in his, you're going to go through his biography a little bit and get to know him better. This is also inshallah, one of the reasons why I want to read this book. I have many reasons. I have many of my intentions, my reasons. I will share inshallah in a while. So you all can also add on, right, to your intentions of taking a book. Right, so whenever we come to a book, for the beginning of the book, we will state our intentions. Right, as to come into this book. One of my intentions actually in restarting this book, right, is actually to inshallah to connect more of us, myself especially, to Habib Muhammad bin Abdullah al-Haddar, to connect ourselves more to him, as we are very connected, mashallah, to his daughter. Those of you who come to Tarim, that you're connected to his daughter, who is Hawa Banur. Hawa Banur, she is the, I know Hawa, she's come a few times, and she's very beloved to the girls in Darul Zahra Estate, and very beloved to all of us, mashallah. Right. But mashallah, Habib Muhammad bin Abdullah Haddar, rahimahullah ta'ala, Allah have mercy on him, wa nafa'ana Allah bihi wa bi'al bid-darain, and may Allah benefit us by him and by his knowledge of books. That he was someone who was known, and I'll go into this his biography inshallah in a while, but I just want to comment on his name here. Right, he said Muhammad bin Abdullah. So you would notice that his name exactly follows the name of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah his name is Muhammad bin Abdullah. His father was Abdullah. Right, so and so Habib Muhammad also Muhammad Abdullah. And it was said that Habib Muhammad, had such a high character. Right. And so when he writes his book, or he is like you say, Ahlun, uh لهذا العمل. Like he is he's deserving of this work to write about great character, right? Because it is anyone who knows about great character, is anyone who knows about great character is Habib Muhammad, right? And just to show the greatness of this character, he's someone in our zaman, okay? He's someone in our time. And to show the greatness of his character, right? His character was so, reflective, it's like so beautiful. His in his knowledge, his, his, his dealings with people and so on, Habib Muhammad, to the point that people even, his Zaman, they thought he was the Mahdi. Right? They actually thought he was the Mahdi, like, because first and foremost, like, of him being exactly the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in his way, in his dealings, in his akhlaq, in his character, in his, everything it exactly matched the name of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Muhammad bin Abdullah. And so many people, there were people in that when there were people in his zaman who they were like, oh, he's the Mahdi. Like, because the Mahdi is basically to have the name of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, right? The Mahdi is someone to say, have the name of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right. So mashallah, mashallah. Right. There is so we will go into the title of the book. We'll go into the preface. I want to read what Habib Umar wrote. Right. We're not going to skip Habib Umar's words, okay? We're not going to skip Habib Umar's words, right? So we're going to go into what he said, what he wrote, Shaykh Habib Umar. Right. And these are people who are the people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are men of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, tamam. Right. So uh yeah, let's see. Let me just see if whether Arabic matches the English. Okay, the Arabic doesn't have the forward of Habib Omar. Mm. They just printed out, what they just went right into the biography of Habib Muhammad. So the Arabic doesn't have the forward of Habib Omar. It's okay. Sufi is there. It's under the table. Inshallah. Mashallah. Right. So one thing I want to mention about Habib Muhammad al-Haddad. I love the story. Somebody just shared a story some days ago, right? About how Habib Muhammad once he saw a blind cat. They all live in Bayda, right? Bayda is a place that's very, very, very cold. It's quite it's I think north of Yemen. But so she found a blind cat one day, right? And he took the cat back right to his home, right? And he would look after this cat. Right? He would actually, take care of the cat. He would feed the cat, by his hands. He would feed the cat and everything. And it does show, those who really take care of people, take care of cats, take care of, animals. It is all the way of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Yeah, but it was said that he used to really take care of his cat to the point that when he would travel, he would call back home and he would ask them how's the cat, to check on his blind cat, subhanallah. Okay, so just through the phone of Habib Omar, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Um, and then later on, I will go into the top, what's it, Muhammad. I will go into the top, the title of the book, inshallah, and we'll go into a bit of some, we will go into, okay, we'll go into the phone of Habib Omar. We'll go into the biography of Habib Muhammad, Habib Muhammad al-Haddad. Right, we will go into the forward of Habib Muhammad. And the reason being, before we do any intentions, is so that we have an idea of what we're learning. Okay. So usually, what I like to do is I like to just have like a few classes, for myself personally, that I will have a few classes, or I will make sure I read through the forward of the author to know what exactly the book's about, right? And then I will sit down and pen down my intentions, right, of why I am studying this book. Okay. So we will do it inshallah later on. Right? So we just go to the forward of Habib Umar, then we go to the forward of the biography of Habib Muhammad, right? And then we go to the forward of Habib Muhammad, right? And then I want to go through the meaning of the title, right? There is that he, chose to name this book. And then we will speak about our intentions. It's very important. We don't enter into any class or any lesson, or any book without stating our intentions first, right? Every book that we pick up, like make it a habit from now on. Every book that you pick up, you write down your intentions. You make your intentions, right? Before you go into the book. Tamam. Okay, so the forward, Habib Umar, he begins all praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the infinitely generous, the privileged creator who has made his chosen beloved servant, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, precede all others in the best standards of noble character, and of noble character. So this is something that is very common in all Arab books. In fact, in all Islamic books, I would say, in all Islamic books, that right they would begin the book with a praise to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala and a salawat to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that will be formulated in a way to address the topic at hand. Right, you will find this over and over again in every scholarly text. You'll find this, right? So they would praise Allah in a way, right, that will come back to the text that is at hand, or the topic at hand that they are going to speak about. Right. So here you see that he praised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to see the Arabic and see the because I think the translation of the names of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, I also get thrown off as to what is the original Arabic, right? Right, whereby Allah Subhanahu, it was so he praised Allah Subhanahu. Can you see the Arabic? Maybe zoom out, so I can see what's on the side. I'm looking at the Arabic as well. Habib's writing. Habib's writing on the other side. Yes, right. So zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. Now, right. So now. Right, so praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the infinite generous, the provident creator, who has chosen, right? So he has chosen the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to precede. So here is where you see that he goes into specifically the topic at hand, right, about the character of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the praise here is directed in a way, right? The praise here is directed in a way, right? To praise Allah, right, for giving us the Prophet who was sent to perfect noble character. Right, so we praise Allah for giving us a human being in front of us, living in front of us, right, for us to copy, to emulate, right, because he had gone beyond all other human beings in perfecting noble character. So may his peace and blessings be upon his family and companions who strove and struggled in virtue, all of them in high virtue, in dignity and in high character, and upon his forefathers and brethren from the messengers and the prophets. This we have always he always includes this part, right? Of his prophets and messengers, and until the day of standing before the King of all the world, the sovereign of all the worlds, the riser of the seven heavens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, this publication is a translation of a most blessed, illuminated, and beneficial treatise entitled عجلة السباق إلى مكارم الأخلاق, the quest for virtuous characters, rushing. عجلة السباق means to rush or to strive, right? To go as quickly as you can, right? To reach high character. Inshallah, one of our intentions, like in taking this book, like is really for Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to show us right, the flaws in our character and for us to admit to them. Right? It's something that subhanallah, I find difficult to actually admit to yourself that you actually have this flaw. That you are actually, let me for example, a rude person. You're actually someone who is, judgmental. You're actually someone who is, you have some level of arrogance. Right? Or you're a show off. Or you have a lot of spite. Like you have a lot of, it's like subhanallah, this is the thing that we want to recognize, right? The flaws in our character, right? And basically admit them. Admit, because the first step to getting better, is to actually admit that you have these problems. Right? You have all these issues. Is the first step to getting better is to get to admit that you are problematic. You have issues. You have problems. You have all this terrible character that's plaguing you, right? And in Subhanallah, this, I think, was it this morning how Maryam Haider, when she was speaking about seeing Rasulullah in your dreams, and one of the very, 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 like mujarrab, I would say, tried, tested, proven methods of seeing the Prophet ﷺ is purification of character. Like someone who has a pure character. So it could be, and it probably is, that our character is plagued with so many issues, so many problems, hatred or vengeance and jealousy and this and that and whatever going on in our hearts, that we are blocked from seeing the Prophet ﷺ. Right, we need to purify this character, purify this heart, and we make that intention, inshallah, ya Allah. And sincerely make that intention. Because how many times have we met people who have such beautiful hearts? I'm sure you have met them, right? You've met people, I met so many of them here in Tarim. You meet people who have such beautiful hearts, not harboring anything negative in these hearts of theirs. And you're just amazed, and you're just amazed at how people of the world, when they see like a celebrity that's so beautiful, that's so physically, attractive and so perfect in their features, right? People of the akhirah, when you actually meet someone so beautiful in their heart, so beautiful in their character, so perfect in their dealings with other people, right? You're just in awe. You stare at them in awe, right? Like how people of the dunya, they stare at people who are physically beautiful, in awe, just stunned by their beauty, by their physical beauty. People of the akhirah, you meet someone of such perfect character, such beautiful, they don't carry anything in their heart. They never have anything against anybody, and they never have any negative feelings and no negative emotions against anybody. You're like, this is like an angel walking around. And they do exist. I've met them. They do exist. They're like angels walking around. Subhanallah, they are like angels walking around. Like they literally, you cannot rub them the wrong way. Literally, you cannot rub them the wrong way. I mean, and for me, like whenever I meet such people, I'm just in awe of them. Like they're so beautiful in their character. I mean, they're so attractive the way they are. I just wish to be like that. I want to be like that. And I know I'm very far from that. Like so, but I want to be like that. Like how can you be someone that you don't carry any negative emotion in your heart whatsoever towards anybody in your life? Ever? Like no one could really do you wrong. Subhanallah, like really, there are people who are like that. There's such goodness in their hearts. And when you see them, you get so amazed, You get so amazed by that. Right. Naam, right. So this publication, right. So this is the translation, eh? I'm looking at the Arabic actually. So this publication is so known as in Salawat on Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who is the standard of high character. So this publication is translation of a most blessed, illuminated, beneficial treatise, like called the Quest for Virtuous Character, written by the Noah and the caller to Allah, Al Habib Muhammad bin Abdullah Al Haddar. And so of our intentions in taking this book is to be counted as one of his students, right, inshallah. We didn't live in his time, I think most of us we were alive right while he was alive, but we did not actually meet him in his lifespan, right? So right, so he was born on, it says here, 1340 Hijri. That's about 100 years ago. It's about 100 years ago from now, in Yemen. Mm, was born in Bayda. By when did he pass away? Right, وفي نفسي. When he passed away, do you see his state of death? How many years had Prophet Muhammad passed away? But the Arabic has long, you say biography on him. I'll just go to the one that's with the English. So it's very long. Looking for the part where he the end of when he passed away. But I'm not sure that we did live. I mean, a few of these great scholars, Habib Abdul Qadir al-Saqaf, Habib, Nam, he passed away in 1418. Right, he passed away in one four no 1418. Right, so 1418 is how many years ago? About 30 years ago. Okay, about less than 30 years ago, inshallah. Yeah lah. So probably I was only a few years old. Yeah lah. Yeah, probably I think most of us were alive when he passed away. But probably children. We were children when he was alive. Right. Many of the great scholars, they passed away, and we did, in a sense, we did see their zaman, right? But we didn't really know of it. Like, we were all in Singapore, wherever we were, right? We didn't know it, right? But we did, in a sense, like we did, live in the same time zone. That itself is just like an honor, and to be in the same time zone as these people. Naam. So Habib, so of our intentions to be to be counted as a student, inshallah. Right, to be counted as a student of someone who is so, great in his following of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the greatness of an individual is in direct, relation and proportion to how much he actually follows or she actually follows the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And because Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is the greatest human being ever, right, to walk the face of this earth. Right. So the greatness of a human being, right, is in direct proportion to how much this human being follows the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, especially in the character of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Tamam. Right. So now, right, so by Habib Muhammad bin Abdullah al-Haddar, bin Sheikh bin Ahmad bin Sheikh Abu Bakr bin Salim. May Allah raise his rank and gather us with him in the highest level of paradise. So this English translation was undertaken by Abdullah, the wife of Sheikh Aminullah, and corrected and revised by Sheikh Abu Sophia. Asa, may Allah grant them all success and increase their lives with well-being. Bless them with the light of truthfulness, sincerity, and the best use of the hours of their days and nights. We ask the most merciful to bless His translation in His corrected version and to benefit all who read this blessed and illuminated treatise. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless His publisher, Darul Turath al-Islami, for his publication and effort in the distribution of the books such as these, which provide sound education in the deeper spiritual realities necessary to living a fruitful and beneficial life, culminating in nearness to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam on the day of judgment. Right. Next page, right? So here, mashallah, this is this will be one of the very few books, right, that is you see in the English language, right, that we desperately need, and desperately need to hold on to. Alhamdulillah, and may Allah reward those who put in effort to translate stuff. Like for the English audience, and in fact, for those who are, for all of us to put in effort to buy these books, right? So you support the translators, you support the work as well. You support the work of those who are trying their best to produce English books. Right? It is something that sometimes people keep asking for the PDF, PDF, PDF. Buy the book. Okay, buy the book. Right? So you at least support, right, their work. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Indeed, of those who are the most beloved to me, or the nearest to me on the day of judgment, are those who are gentle, gracious, and giving in their character." Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right? MashaAllah. As a gentle, gracious, and giving. Right? Someone who has these three attributes. They are the closest to Rasulullah SAW on the day of judgment. So our intention, inshallah, right, in studying this book and in refining, in perfecting our character, and the refinement of character or the perfection of character, the purification of character, right? It is wajib. What's the ruling of it? Wajib. It's wajib. It is one of the three sciences or the three integrals of Islam. Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. So Islam will be our outward Sharia, and the laws of Islam. Then you have Iman, our Aqidah, our belief system. Then you have Ihsan, and Ihsan is basically purification. Basically, Ihsan is defined as excellence, but it's basically purification, and it's wajib, it's compulsory on every Muslim to set on the path to perfect their character. It is wajib, on every Muslim, right, to learn what are the diseases of the heart, right, to learn what harms our character, to learn how to deal with other human beings well. And that's why I think it's last thoughts and then some people easily, oh, so is it religious? Just, he can be kind of mean, towards people, but he's very religious. The first thing I would say is that, so this is basically what people say. They'll call someone religious, they use the word religious, right? So and so is religious, right? And they'll say, but, they're kind of mean. Or they have this kind of very foul, the way they speak, they hurt people with their tongue, right? And my response is, how is that religious? Really, how is that religious? How do you define someone who has bad character to be religious? He is not religious. As someone who has bad character by default or by definition, in fact, right, they are not religious because the religion consists of three aspects. Like a firm belief in what you believe in, the religion, like a firm practice, of the laws, the religion, and a beautiful character. These three come together, then you have someone whom you call religious. It's a religious person. And that's why Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he advised towards women, in fact, the advice was towards fathers. Like fathers, with regards to accepting, proposals for his daughter, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said that if a man comes to you and he pleases you in his religion and his character, right? While character is part of religion, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam highlighted the word character because people don't seem to place character in the circle of religion. If someone wants to be righteous, they want to be religious, right? You got to work on your character. You cannot possibly be called a religious person if you do not work on your character because character is core in the religion, right? So Rasulullah said, with regards to fathers, if a man comes to you seeking your daughter's hand in marriage, yani, right, and he pleases you in his deen wa khuluq, like in his religion and his character, then wed him. And it meaning that then accept the proposal and wed him to your daughter. Right? Look for such men. right? And the Rasul said, if you do not, so comes the warning, if you do not, then be prepared for widespread fasad. Be prepared for widespread corruption. Right? And that is the problem right now. Like people, we have gone so low in the standard of good character. So low. Now I know someone like they told me that they, and they are facing a lot of issues, with their husband right now. And Allah Alam, what it is. But I remember that she was telling me one time that one time that, she why she married her husband. And I said, why? And she said, because he never raised his voice against his mother. And in my heart, I was like, isn't that a default? This does not make someone exceptional. It just makes someone a Muslim, a normal human being. You are a monster if you raise your voice against your mother, right? I wouldn't see that as a virtue. I would say that as a given, right? But we are in a zaman whereby if a man prays 5 times a day or a woman prays 5 times a day, oh wow, mashallah, so religious. Whereby what is minimum as a, as you say, I would say as a human being is minimum as a human being. It does not make someone exceptional. It's just a minimum thing. I was like, you were impressed that he never raised his voice at his mother. That was what impressed you. Isn't that a given? I mean, I'll be shocked, if I knew someone who raised their voice at their mother. Right? I'd be like, what kind of monster are you? Right? But I wouldn't say that's a praiseworthy attribute. Yani. It's not a praiseworthy attribute, right? It's a minimum attribute. It's a minimum character that differentiates you between being a human being and a monster, right? Subhanallah. But this is how our standard has gone so incredibly low that someone prays 5 times a day. Oh, like it's such low standards, and maybe we can't even like raise our standards because that is the state of the day, and if people are that being religious means you actually pray your prayers 5 times a day. Like being having good character, you actually don't raise your voice against your mother. Like, and then you're called someone with virtuous character. You actually, subhanallah, that's a given, that's a given. And so I was quite surprised. I was like, oh, and that made you think that he had good character. I would say that that's really a minimum, That's not exceptional, doesn't place him above other people in his character. No, it it just makes him normal. It is a minimum of being a Muslim, yani. Right? So subhanallah. Right? So um like I would say Habib Muhammad, for example, you speak about his great character, Habib Abdul Qadir Saqaf, when you give examples of the great character, Habib Abdul Qadir Saqaf, right? Who is the teacher of his mashaykh, and there was once he entered a car, and they drove off. And after a while, Habib Abdul Qadir, right, he stopped the driver. And the driver stopped him. So what's wrong, Habib? And Habib opened the door of the car. His fingers were caught at the door of the car. His fingers were caught. And the driver was shocked. The driver was like, Habib, why didn't you tell me from the beginning that your fingers were caught at the door? Why do you wait for us till we travel a distance? Then you freed your fingers. And his fingers were all blue and all, like, injured. And Habib was like, well, the person who closed the door, I had to make sure that we were out of his view, like, before I freed my fingers, because he'd feel so bad if he knew that he slammed the door on my fingers. Like like you can imagine the pain in those fingers. And this is exactly the words of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with regards to the man who came too close to him, traveling, and the man's leather boots kept Sorry, my internet broke off. So the let's see here cut off. Right. So sorry, okay, going inside the books. Right. So the story of the man, right? The man. I mean, it's not, you see, when you speak of stories of great character, right? Don't go like, oh, he never raised his voice to his mother. That's not great character. That's a minimum character. It's minimum. Doesn't make you great, right? Because doing the opposite actually makes you a monster. Yani. Right. So anyway, this is so Habib Abdul Qadir, he had left his fingers caught at the door, right? Because he was guarding over the feelings, of the man who had slammed. That is great character, because that is extraordinary. Right? No normal human being would do that, right? Whereby your fingers were caught at a door, right? Like first and foremost, how many of us will fly into anger? Like say you're so careless. You didn't see that I was there. You didn't see my finger. You could have just waited. Like didn't you check first before you close the door? Then like we go right into anger, right? How many of us will go right into anger? Right? But Habib Muhammad, so Habib Abdul Qadir al-Sakaf, not only did he not go into anger, he actually stopped himself. I mean, he didn't have to stop himself because they're that pure, right? Right? The first thing that came to his mind is don't react, don't do anything, because you're going to hurt the feelings of the person. You're going to hurt the feelings of the person, right, who closed the door. They're going to feel so bad about it, right? So he waited until they were out of view, then he did what he did and told the guy to stop driving so he could free his fingers. SubhanAllah. Rasulullah, exact same story, happened with Rasulullah. He was riding on his donkey. There was a man who was riding next to him. One of my most favorite stories about Rasulullah, because I'm so amazed by how our Prophet is, SubhanAllah, so amazed by him. Right, so our Prophet, he was riding on his donkey. This story Habib Omar tells it in his seerah. And Habib Rasul gets very excited when he tells the story. Because it shows such great character of a man. And they just finished war. They actually finished war. They had gone for war, right? And there's so much, spoils of war in the form of animals, like huge amounts of animals, like so many animals. And it was such a crowded area. So Rasulullah was on his donkey and there was a man on his camel, right? So you can imagine how this is, right? That someone on a camel or on an animal was a bit higher. And then was on another animal was a bit higher. So the man's feet, right, came to the shin of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You see, he's a bit higher, okay? He's a bit higher up. Right. So and because it was such an izdiham, right? So it's such a like a crowded area, and they all squeezed together. They were traveling. Right, the man he kept pushing, his animal kept pushing against the animal of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he was wearing leather boots, very rough leather boots. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that's how the men were in that time, especially even in our time. Like they wear an izar, and izar is like a waistcloth that will come, below the knees. They will come below the knees. So usually the shin or the calf area is exposed, right? So this leather boot kept rubbing against the skin of the Prophet. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Can you imagine how painful this is? Right? Someone's the leather boot's cutting away on your flesh, right? So he kept rubbing. Rasulullah just bore with it, right? He just remained silent and he bore with it. You can imagine how painful this is. And somewhat if it rubs after the skin is rubbed away, then for the boots to rub on the cut, how painful that is to rub on. So either you rub away the skin, now you're rubbing on the flesh of it. Right. So after a while, this was going on, and the rubbing keeps happening. Every time the animal moved, right, the rubbing happened, right, against his calf muscles, against his flesh, right. And so eventually, Rasulullah SAW, very, 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 very gently, right, he, either use his finger or his siwak, like he kind of like nudged the man, right, he kind of like poked very gently. He poked the man, he nudged the man, right, and he said to the man, "Could you just move there a little bit? Could you just move there a little bit?" You know, and the man, he looked down and he was horrified to see the the calf of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, his legs, right? His calf bleeding. And he saw it was his shoes that caused the bleeding, on the calf of the Rasulullah. He got so embarrassed and he felt so bad about it. And felt so, so, and he really distanced himself from Rasulullah. He felt so bad about what happened. Like, and he kind of like, sit away from Rasulullah. He was so afraid the Quran would come down, and scold him, like he would be cursed to the hellfire, or he would be like, he got so terrified about about what he had done, right, to Rasulullah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that they actually, go to a place, they camp right there, and this man, he was so nervous, he was so worried, he was really avoiding the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He didn't want to be scolded, he was so scared, so he was hiding out in his tent. Right. Then someone came to his tent and said to him, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam summons you. Like he wants to speak to you. So now he can't escape, right? He has to go and see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So okay, so he really like okay, he went to the tent of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was so scared that Allah had revealed some, verse that cursed him or something like that. Like he came in and he was really wondering like what was going on. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, welcomed him and he said to him, to this person, he said to him, you know, what happened just now? You know what happened just now with the crowd, and we were squeezed together and everything. And the man was like, yes, I know about it. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that my shoes were rubbing against your calf and whatever. And the Rasul was like, no, 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 no. That's not the issue, right? Those animals out there, outside his tent, right? There were animals there. All those animals outside my tent, I'm gonna give them to you. I'm going to gift you, or they were like, in the tens, right? Tens of animals out there, like a large number of animals, taken from the spoils of war. Right? So Rasulullah said to him, I'm going to gift them to you. And the man was so shocked. He was like, why? Like, why are you gifting me these animals? And he said, compensation. Like, compensation for poking you just now. I felt so bad about it that I poked you, right? So compensation for me poking you. And I felt so bad about it. Like, those animals are for you. Right? And this is what you mean by great character. You didn't even expect, you didn't even see that coming. I didn't see that coming, right? Yeah, like he was bothered the entire time, Rasulullah SAW, that he poked the man. He didn't, pierce him. He didn't, like, pinch him. He didn't do anything to hurt him. He just kind of used his finger and just like pushed him, nudged him a little bit. Like that's all he did. And that bothered him so much. Ya Allah. It bothered him so much that he wanted to give compensation to this man. And for doing that to him. SubhanAllah. That is what you say high character, right? That's the standard we're looking at, eh? This Rasulullah, he put us in it so high, mashallah. So this habaib, or this mashayikh, these people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, these great people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam so beautifully, mashallah. And I'm like just reflecting on my own self because I think last week I had a session with my classmates, on just our book club, reading the book of Habib Bakr Adani, right? And I was thinking to myself, I remember just last week I was reading my book, right? And my classmate, right, she kept leaning in on me. I don't like it. I have very, I'm very sensitive towards personal space, right? So like she was really like, it's called tablet chairs. Our school use tablet chairs, right? There's this chairs whereby you swing up the table. They're called tablet chairs, right? So she has a chair and her table, but she was placing her entire body on my table. And I couldn't put my book down. Like, but she was just like, she was like leaning her whole body on my table, and just getting extremely close to me. And I didn't like it. Like, but I was just thinking to myself, okay, you know what? You're not even being harmed in any way. There's no one who's stretching your calf muscles. There's no one, hitting your knee or your finger. There's no one harming you in any way. It's just physical discomfort. And I was like, if like my normal self, I was forcing myself not to nudge her, not to kind of push her away from me. Like, but she was, ya Allah, I know, I got so frustrated by how close she was sitting next to me. I don't like it. Like, but mashallah, like we're trying to work the way of good character, right? We can't be like that. We can't like, get away from me, mashallah. But ya Allah, I had to fight myself. I was so tempted to just say to her, could you, Annie, scoot over? just stay to your chair and your table and not throw your body on my table, subhanallah. So I kind of like kept my mouth shut. Just keep your mouth shut, keep your mouth shut, keep your mouth shut. I don't say anything, don't push her, don't nudge her, don't kind of, just be okay with her coming to your very personal space. Inshallah. But this is like a minimum. No one's hurting me, no one's harming me. It's a minimum, right? It's a minimum. But mashallah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the closest of you, right, to him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, um, and the most beloved to him or the nearest to him or the judgment is the one who is gentle, gracious, gracious, right? The word gracious is a very big word, right? You are gracious, you're giving, right? You are forgiving, it's very high. One of my very big reasons why I need to do this book again because I just feel like hardly implemented 1% of this book. So much to do with our character. And I do wonder why is our character such yani? Why do we have okay, maybe just me. But why is our characters, needing so much work? Is it the media? Let's blame the media on everything, right? Is it the media? Is it like the cartoons that we watch when we were younger? Is it like the books that we read? All this influence, a lot of all these Disney cartoons. You know how Disney have this like what do you call this? Disney Channel. I think most of us here we grew up on Disney Channel. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm sure that a lot of you grew up on Disney Channel. That in the day back in the day. Now I don't know what's good. Now I think they have like Disney Plus and Disney Netflix and whatever. Right? But in the past we had Disney Channel and they have all these Disney sitcoms. Like do you all know what I'm talking about? All these Disney sitcoms like where these young kids are acting, and they have all these like weird random stories and very lame jokes in these Disney sitcoms. I think this kind of series or sitcoms have really bad character. If you just look at them, right, they have really really very bad character. Correct. I mean, like, I know I can't remember the names of them. Like see, I forgot the names of them. Like we watch a lot. You know, not only do we not have time to grow good character, right? We learn bad character. Yeah, yeah, all those, Nickelodeon, right? Nickelodeon had like really bad sitcoms, or I don't know if call them sitcoms or comedy or whatever. Right? They have all these really bad, and very cheesy, very they had no value in it. We spend our childhood, our youth watching this junk. You realize that? Like, so it's not, and I won't say that it's because we're busy in school, work on a character. No, I will disagree with that. But I will say that we were, that bad character is also learned, right? Bad character is also learned. It's not a given. It's also learned, bad character, right? So there is a lot of influence that you have taken, right, as growing up from the way you speak to each other. Like I can hear from a child, I can hear if a child is watching a lot of Disney, right? Right? I don't know if you okay as teachers, when you hear a child speak, right? You can kind of tell they've been watching a lot of like American TV, for example. You can hear it in their voice, the way they speak, their exclamations, whatever it is, right? So it's just, but it's just a lot of, now not even worse. I don't know what's going on right now. Gamers, YouTubers, anyone. Now everybody has a platform. Every foul character has a platform. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. So I think it's just getting worse. That's why this book, we really need to study this book very, very well. It's just getting worse in our zaman. Right? So we're taking this book, inshallah, also with our intention, right, with the lens of zaman. Right? So no, you're using this book, using this book to be our lens for the zaman. Okay, the other way around, okay? We're not taking the zaman to be our lens, no. Right? But we're taking this book right here is going to be our lens to see our zaman, right? So we can see the filth that's out there in our zaman. Right now we're in a zaman whereby very foul words are being spewed all over the place. Like that is so it's so disgusting. How people speak nowadays. There's no dignity in speech anymore at all, right? So it's not even trying to be noble, Right now, we're struggling to find material that is just decent. Not even it has gone so bad, right? Not even looking for noble language and noble, character and noble people. We're looking for just people being decent, just to be decent. And be a normal human being. Come on, I don't be foul, right? This is like become so bad, in our character. Wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Right. And I've seen kids in school. I've seen kids in school at the masjid where I teach Masjid Khalid some years ago at Masjid Khalid, and I meet all these children. Like, ya Allah, the language. And you've not even gone to schools to see what's going on in schools, right? And I'm not saying it's just like the schools or government schools. Madrasas are not spared as well. Like, it is the language is so bad. Ya Allah, character, language, the entire dynamics between friends, entire hawla wala quwwata illa billah. Allah. Right. So he also says sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the heaviest that is weighed on the scale, right, on the day of judgment, right, is noble character. The heaviest again on the scale is noble character because it's the most difficult. It is the most difficult. I give examples of Mashiach, of Prophet right? Really, they have put the bar so incredibly high, right? So unbelievable, unbelievable, which he has been as a conqueror. I see the epitome of good character, of high character, as he entered into Mecca as a conqueror over a people who had not only just tortured or persecuted the Muslims, had murdered. Right? They had murdered, they had fought against, right? They had done everything they could do for how many years at that point in time? He came into Mecca in the eighth year of the Hijrah, like Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam as a conqueror of Mecca. Like these people they had done the worst you could imagine, right? To him and to the Muslims. And what did he say, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? What did he say to them? Say you are free to go and to laqa. Right? Today I will say to you as what Yusuf said to his brothers. Like you are forgiven and you're free to go. You're free to go. Right? They seem that kind of high character. Nothing vindictive, nothing not even any negativity in his person, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because these are people focused on the akhirah. They are not bothered by dunyawi issues. They're not bothered. And that is exactly what raised them to have such high character. Right? Think about it. When we have that character, right, it's because we're petty. Don't you think? Like, don't you think that exactly that? We are petty. Right? So we kind of like, you have all this bad character showing, you have all this, you have these negative feelings in you, you have this hatred, this, that, whatsoever, right? Because you're petty and you only see dunya, you don't see akhirah. Like you just are so short-sighted. You're not seeing the bigger picture. You can't forgive people. You can't go beyond, your own nafs. Your nafs is so important to you. Subhanallah, may Allah forgive us. I'm talking about myself mainly. Right? Like this book really just, I tell you the intention to expose yourself to yourself, right? And to admit it. It is a very hard it's a very hard thing to swallow, right? To actually admit that or to have it dawn upon you. I have exactly that character. I have exactly that, right? And then, but this is the first step, right, for you to come into improving yourself, right? Inshallah. Right. So, how great is our need to reflect upon the meaning of such noble character, apply it to our own experiences in life, and lives of our families and raise our sons and daughters upon its principles. How excellent it would be to hasten in publishing books such as this and to reflect upon their meanings with sincere resolve to act upon what they contain. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide His divine solicitude to all and to grant us felicity in our affairs, both manifest and imperceptible. Upon him is all reliance and assistance, and there is no might power except by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the high and tremendous. May his peace and blessings be upon our Master Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family and companions, and all praises to Allah, Lord of the worlds. We have Omar bin Muhammad Salim Hafiz, bin Shah bin Salim, Al-Ba'ani bin Husseini on on Thursday, 26th Safar 14636, since the migration of the chosen one Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was also 2014 December, since the birth of our Master Nabi Isa alayhi salam, in Johannesburg in South Africa. Tamam. Okay, so we have 10 more minutes. Let me just see if I can try to take questions or should I? Like, I'm so amazed now that whenever Sister Mariam comes on and you have so many questions, and I'm thinking to myself, should I ask questions as well? And yeah, and someone say Hannah Montana, right? Yeah, exactly those. You know, as those sitcoms. Like this is why was that? Was it um Drake and Josh? Yeah, I remember all the stuff. You know, we all grew up on the stuff. Yeah, Allah. Like, and then the cartoons are even worse. Like, so you have these sitcoms like by Disney, by Nickelodeon. I'm not sure what they're having today. This world that we have, where they we live in. Like, really, watch the contents your children are consuming, and just watch what. I mean, really, Subhanallah, right? So, um, uh, yeah, new YouTubers. I know I've seen some of my family members in the younger ones go into like our relatives, any relatives, right? Going into watching all kinds of very weird people online. I would say they are strange. They're doing very strange things just for likes. Do you realize that this entire culture of wanting followers and wanting likes, right? Is to be because money, there's money in it, right? There's money when you become someone who's an influencer, so called, and you get money. It's making human beings do the worst things. Do you realize that? Like, is this bringing out the worst in human beings? Like, really, like, I really, ya Allah. Um, right, so it's just that there is no training, for all of us, right? On good character, on good character. Allah, right? So it is, ya Allah. Right, so inshallah, the book will speak about it. I will speak about our anger, our like some people, they fly into rage quicker than other people. It is also your inner makeup, your composition on the inside. Also your own experiences in life, your own upbringing and everything. I know some people, they do have a higher, they have a lower threshold with regards to temper. Some have higher. And that is why Imam Ghazali, he does have the opinion. We go into inshallah in the book. Imam Ghazali, he does have the opinion that there are people. Imam Ghazali says there's no one who's born with perfect character. Okay, he has that opinion. But yes, people are on a spectrum. At the point of what is natural, we are on a spectrum. Some people it is more natural to them, and some people it is less natural to them. But everyone has their illnesses, their diseases, so everyone has their issues, right? So some people it might be, anger. Some people it might be annoyance. Some people it might be hatred. Some people it might be like everyone has their problems, their issues. Okay, yeah. So this entire class will address your issues with your anger, your temper, right? So every class is on Saturday because I'm too tired on Sunday. I'm sorry. I cannot, Sunday I cannot. After school, I come home, I get very tired. Right, so Saturday, I actually come home earlier. So at least I get to rest before I teach. Right, so it's Saturday. It's fixed on Saturday. I can't do Sunday. If your character has always been a non-dominant person and others take advantage of your kindness, how you suppress this emotion, let it go with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Technically, if you are someone, I mean, if like really it does go into you, you know, like being okay, being an easygoing, okay person, right? And in a sense, like one of my teachers, right? Someone asked about this thing about being taken advantage of, right? And Allahu Alam, because I don't know your exit situation, okay? So I might have to go to the exit situation, right? But she did say to me, in Surah Zainab, she did say to me, this entire concept of being taken advantage of, it is a Western concept, whereas people of the Muslims, they love it when people come up to them and ask for help. They love it when people only seek you when they need your help. They actually love it. That my name comes to your head when you actually need help. I'm so honored. You get me? You get me? The Muslims have always been that way, right? They actually love it when people, seek them when they need help and everything. But Again, there is a line to abuse. Okay, so if someone is able, I remember when I was in school, in primary school, I had a friend who, for she was always kind of leeching off me, always doing that, right? So the kind of thing you gotta know, like, are you helping the person or are you ruining the person? So it's not about you, okay? It's not about you. It's about the person, and that's what Islam calls us to, right? In you assisting this person, are you ruining the person? Are you making them, lazy? Because of you, they become irresponsible. Because of you, they become lazy, they become lax, they become whatever. And because of you, they become negligent. Or are you actually helping them get by? Are you helping them with their problems? Are you helping them with their issues? Are you? Right. So it's really the question, right? And so in Islam, we're not looking at ourselves because good character, you usually look at other people. So you're looking at how you're gonna help other people. You get me? You get me? So I don't know what you mean by people taking advantage of your kindness, right? In a sense, are they abusing you? And are they getting more and more negligent in their own responsibilities? Are they getting worse as human beings? Or that they know they can count on you, right? And they are just, going to you because you're somebody, right, who's reliable and they know they can ask you, right? So I know for person, like, people will just naturally gravitate towards her when they have any, issues in their life. Like they have any problems, any financial difficulties whatsoever, like they will just naturally call her up and ask for help. And she's always there to help. She's always there to help. Because that was one of the traits of our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Always there to help. You get me? Right? So I don't know what is the context of your question. I can't give an answer. I don't know the context of your question, because depending on what you define as take advantage, okay? Depending on what you define as take advantage of our kindness, tamam, right? So if it's it says harmless entertainment. We are in a zaman. We need to be very, very, very clear, everybody here, okay? We are in a zaman that, okay, if I want to define harmless entertainment, you know what comes to mind? Cute kittens running around. Okay, let's just see what comes to mind. Cute kittens doing funny things. Okay, that I will say harmless entertainment. Okay, animals doing funny stuff. Whatever comes out of Disney, of Nickelodeon, of all of all of these influencers, all of these sitcoms, comedy, none of this is harmless. They're all harmful and fully harmful. You get me? Okay, right? And you think you're not following the influences there, but you are. If you talk about movies to wind down, you are being fully harmed, fully 100% harmed. You are, right? The haram entering into your heart, the haram entering into your mind, into your soul. It is the one that's preventing you from crying in your prayer. It is the one that's making you lazy on your Quran. It is the one that's making you, be rude to people, to your parents. That is from these negative influences. You think you're not being influenced. You are. You think it's harmless. No, it's not. It's fully harmful, right? Really, there's someone was messaging me about her having a hobby. Is it okay to have a hobby? As Muslims, you want to relax and everything. And I said to her, I mean, of course you can have a hobby, but have a good and healthy, wholesome hobby. Like I would say, my hobby is to look after cats. That's my hobby. That's like, yeah, keeping home cats. I have a hobby. Yeah, my hobby is to look after cats. And I do see that my nephew his hobbies look after fishes. Like have a good wholesome hobby. Down, do your wholesome hobby, right? Have a wholesome hobby. Watching movies is not a hobby, right? It's just it damages every aspect of the human being, whether you like it or not, whether you allow for it or not. It damages every aspect of the human being. Now, these people appreciate good people. They use them. You know, this is all of these things, right? Are Western ideas. You get it. I wasn't Western, no, it's not Western school time. But the modern ideas. These are modern ideas, right? People, you are good. Why? Because Allah commands to goodness. That's why we aim to be good. Are you good to be appreciated? Do you aim to be good to be appreciated? That should not be. As a Muslim, that should not be. Why are we good? Ask the question. Why are we good? Because we are commanded to be good. Because our Prophet was good. Because our Prophet stood up for goodness. We are good for the sake of Allah. So who cares if people don't appreciate us? Who cares if they use us because of our goodness? Who cares? You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for Allah. You get it? You get it? And this is why doing something for the sake of God is much, much, much higher and more noble than doing something for the sake of goodness. All right? Because for the sake of goodness, it does bring you to a limit, a human limit that you feel like, what's the point of me doing this? And no one actually appreciates me. What's the point of me doing this? And they're just making use of me. But when you do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it brings you higher in your pursuit of goodness. You get me? Right? But understand that these ideas that's coming out here that I'm seeing on the chat, right? It's from our upbringing, watching all kinds of videos and films and movies and just reading all kinds of material growing up. It's from there. And these ideas from all of this stuff that we watch, or we read growing up. You get me? If you follow the way of the Prophet alaihi wasallam, you will not find him in any way or form saying such statements. He will not. You get me? Right. So, and I hope that you don't take offense from what I say. Right. Inshallah, we're all here to bear it all, and just to be honest with ourselves. How much are we influenced, right, by the whispers of this time with regards to character? Right? Because we're trying to cleanse our lens with this book. We're trying to polish our lens with this book. So when we look into this world and we see such statements, we see such ideologies, such comparisons and everything, we see that this is not the way of the Prophet. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. This is not good character, right? To be able to see your goodness is not good character, by the way. And the righteous people, mashallah, they do goodness because goodness is to be done. Right? Allah has commanded us to do goodness. If you get it, right? We have been like really, really, subhanAllah, right? To have the sentiments in yourself. It is from what we're exposed to when we're growing up, right? And we make this intention, inshallah. So I hope that you all sit down, put your intentions as to reading this book, inshallah, and may it be transformative to all of us, may it be like it will be life changing to all of us, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. أن الله يرزقنا علما نافعا والعمل خالصا وسلم للهدى ويسر به بنبي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأرواح معلمينا ومشايخنا والذوي الحق علينا وإلى حضرة النبي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.